talk to me about first-time home buyers. Is it hard for people who are out in the market right now to understand how homes are priced? If you're buying a home for the first time, you probably think, you go to a car dealership and you negotiate down. You go to Walmart or Target or a grocery store, Nordstrom's, and you just pay what's on the price tag. And then homes are like a whole different ball of wax.
Sure. Well, I think you could peg off of what you said about the different stores. Actually, if you're going to a Target or a Walmart versus a Nordstrom's, you're gonna be looking for bargains, right? Well, same for cars. There's different tiers of cars. Well, with real estate, there's going to be different tiers of homes based on your basics, your locations to start with. And, the first rule of real estate's always been location, location, location. So folks that are getting they're getting their feet wet in the market, think about where they want to live first and can they afford it. Mm-hmm. So they're doing a lot of homework online. There's a lot of information they can get just searching for what's available in certain areas. Mm-hmm. The first thing they need to do is get pre-approved. Mm-hmm. So once they know what they can afford, they just start hunting around for what types of properties are available in that price range. So that alone gives them a widespread understanding of what's available in Puget Sound in those price ranges. So before we actually start talking to them about what type of properties they can actually get into, they've already got a pretty good understanding of those price ranges.
Now, when people start looking online, and I've thought about this a little bit, but when people start looking online and you say, you'll get a feel for the market by looking online, it really is just that. It's a feeling. I mean, you kind of go, that house is worth this house is kind of worth that. You don't have to go too far below surface level to kind of get that feeling. You don't need to maybe necessarily go diving into all the line items on an entire listing to get that feeling, do you?
That's a really, really good question. I think it depends on what areas you're talking about. If you're talking about looking at homes on the east side, where most of the construction was built post 1950, 1960 into the new millennia, the type of homes you're going to see are pretty much the same. But if you're looking in Seattle or some of the older neighborhoods in South, even to Tacoma, you're talking about 100-year-old homes, and there's going to be a myriad of differences in each of those homes depending on the type of remodeling they've had over the last 100 years. Yeah. So to answer your question, they can get a snapshot idea of what these properties are.
At least that
worth.
Feeling, maybe, without overwhelming somebody.
Yeah. They're going to get a range. It's like, okay, if I'm looking in this area, these types of homes, it's going to be within this range.
That one in Medina on the waters might be a little bit high, and I don't need to live, down in the industrial district of Tukwila.
Right. But to really peg the prices, you got to see the homes. Yeah. You actually have to walk through them. So,
what do you think are the biggest factors? I mean, I guess you're going to have the real big factors on towards home prices, and then some will just start to kind of be less and less and less. And I think it's common for people to sometimes look at square footage as like such this big piece and go, well, geez, this house is 3,000 square feet and this one is 2, but they're not. One isn't a third. Priced a third more. Where do you think some of those the biggest components of the house price factor are? And what do you think are some that maybe are not as important?
I think I'd answer that question with the word functionality. The properties themselves, like you said,
I had no idea you can answer that question with one word. That is very good.
Thanks. Yeah. A 2,000 square foot house versus a 3,000 square foot house in the same neighborhood can have such a different feel. If the property is laid out properly, if they've knocked out walls in certain areas or remodeled it to the point where it's really cleverly done, good storage, nice floor plan, that 2,000 square foot house can actually feel bigger than the 3,000 square foot house. And that's something I love to show buyers so they don't pigeonhole themselves into searching for properties in this price range in this neighborhood with this square footage, because they're going to miss out on some great properties if they're not looking at the bigger picture. Like, well, how does it feel when I walk in the house?
Right.
I can actually live here. It's smaller, but this is going to work. That's what they'll say.
And that's kind of like getting into some of the older houses that are all sectioned off. The kitchen is totally different from the dining room, which is different from the living room, where the more modern ones, of course, the great room.
Correct. And that's been a mainstay for most buyers these days. They want that great room feel. Yeah. And educating those buyers about what's possible in some of these older homes is big too. I mean, once they realize you can create that space in some of these older homes, then they're willing to spend. They find out that they can actually spend less on a home and then create that space themselves than it would cost them to actually buy that newer property that has it already.
Sure. Allan Ponio joins us, and we are discussing first-time home buyers and the different aspects of a home that really do contribute to that price. What are some of the other big factors other than the functionality and layout?
Folks are really concerned about creature comforts these days. I think there's been a lot of talk about, utility costs, green building. We're spending so much more time in our homes these days, especially around here when you get half an hour worth of dry weather.
Sure.
You want to create as much functional, comfortable space with the lowest amount of cost possible. So that's been top of mind. I think folks have also been thinking about becoming, urban farmers. Is there a space in these homes that can?
That's common.
It actually, well, you're talking to a Seattleite. I'm starting to, see it more and more on these sides.
Put the chickens in the backyard.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's amazing what people will do. I've seen goats in some yards in Seattle. Definitely lots of chicken coops, and lots of gardens. Even though your property might be sitting, you're a box right next to I-5, you've got, grime coming over the wall, but there's going to be gardens sitting right there for folks to create this feeling of suburban
of not being on I-5.
Of not being on I-5, yeah.
Do you tend to think, is that really, it's outdoor spaces have a lot to do with the desirability of a home? I know that if you look in houses, California, Arizona, a lot of places where you spend a lot of time outdoors, it makes sense. Here, well, you get a couple months out of the year, but it tends to feel like almost resorty.
You think about, you've lived here for a while, yeah?
Yeah, my whole life except for college in Arizona.
Imagine those days when the sun finally comes out and everyone steps out of the office.
Right? And you
So
re-meet your neighbors.
There's a premium folks put on that in their homes too. So as soon as that sun comes out, they're going to utilize that space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll spend some money out there to do it.
Well,
Yeah.
it makes sense, because people are excited because it is such a short period of time.
Sure.
And, so to make that such an important part is just what is interesting to me, because it's, you want this almost resort feel, or a lot of people do,
Yeah.
In their house or their outdoor area that they maybe use 2 or 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, I think you might start to see a comeback on sunrooms, or even covered decks with clear roofs. People want to spend some more time outside around here, and they're going to find a way to do it.
It's all the implants who come here for new jobs that aren't used to spending 9 months out of the year indoors.
We all can't take a trip to Hawaii in the middle of March, right?
That's right. Allan, we just have a couple minutes left, but what about things such as like bedrooms and bathrooms? Certainly that goes back into the functionality piece. But does it matter if it's 10 bedrooms or 6 bedrooms or 4 if that works for you? There's
certainly a threshold there. If the property has 3 to 4 bedrooms, that's going to keep it attractive to the majority of the buyers. Once you get past 6 or 7 bedrooms, then you're talking about multi-generational families that are going to be looking at that property, or an investor that wants to rent it out. I think once you get past 5 bedrooms, really, it's the value actually doesn't necessarily diminish, but the amount of value put on that extra bedroom diminishes a bit. So, going from 3 to 4 bedrooms, you might add $20,000 to $50,000 in the value of the property. But from going from 4 to 5 bedrooms, that extra value might be diminished to $15,000.
And now all of a sudden you've ended up with just a big closet. What do you do with the 6th bedroom?
These days
your wife uses it as a closet.
It could be, that utilitarian space.
My wife would use it as a closet. I have no idea if your wife would use it as a closet.
It would be likely a closet, yeah.
For shoes and stuff. Heather would use it for sunglasses.
Hiding the other stuff that you don't want to show in the living room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It would end up really just being like one of those catch-all rooms. Like, okay, we don't want to look at this. Put it in the room.
Yeah, the Rubbermaids go in there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, actually, that's what it would be. It'd be storage or yoga space, or you're creating that little personal space for yourself, hobby room.
Yoga space becomes storage after about a month, I think.
There you go.
It's like with the treadmill becoming the place where you hang your dirty clothes.
Yeah, it's like the pool table ends up being where you fold your laundry, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.